Today I'm going to present you my new painting, Scarcity of Liberty. So I created this painting during the confinement, and I wanted to testify about the organization of the society towards the mobility within the frame of a confinement. For this painting, I used two photos. One that I took online, and it represents the scenery of an empty bus station, and the second one is a photo that I took on the highway to go from Houston to Austin, and it was a remote gas station. So those two photos for me symbolize the empty spaces during the frame of a confinement, because those spaces normally are filled with people which are meeting in those environments during the process of a kind of productivity, a physical productivity. So you go to a gas station to fill up your tank, so it has an economic purpose, and you go to a bus station to, of course, move from one point to another one, but in certain countries it's essential for going to work, getting some food. So it was really those environments which were like completely empty because of the pandemic, which are crucial in the fact of physical mobility within a society. So to illustrate my idea of mobility within the societal frame, I embedded some prints, and the first one I used is a representation of a RQ-170 drone, because they are military drones and they are used remotely. So it's really how you distance yourself in a kind of virtual mobility with a strong impact on others. So you can see it also as a symbolic as we interact more and more remotely. Also, it's linked to the fact that for deliveries and some surveillance purpose, we are using more drones currently. We are implementing the drones into the civil space. And to mark this notion, I embedded a print of the cover of the book of Hobbes, The Leviathan, as he describes the necessity of a strong central power. But also within the book you can discover that the human is used as a machine, so you can of course see a symbolic there too. And so you go to the drone, remote mobility, remote impact, distanciation, to the implementation of a social power, a social centralized structure. And then I wanted to put some prints from the past, because they have been taken from a book written by Abel Hugo in 1835, and they describe this book. It's La France Pittoresque, the picturesque France, shows you some physical visual of sceneries, small cities, cathedrals, but also it writes about population, number of people, number of cities and all those kind of details. And it's linked to the past, so I've really embedded it to the painting and sent them to make them merge, and it's how the past can be rewrite or reseen or also in a different way retaken by people. So it's linked to the organization of society within the fact that you see it from a distance because it's the past, but also when he did some records. It's a kind of, in 1835, it was a way of recording things. So you can link this to the current data we are using and implementing to the algorithmic thinking. And that's why I embedded a collage of the Turing machine, because currently we are using algorithms which are referring to data that we are implementing within the frame of algorithmic thinking. And so it's really the link from the past to the present. And then I wanted to expand the idea of algorithmic implementation with putting a collage of the neural networks. So neural networks are the used data as well. They are mimicking the way the brain works to implement the artificial intelligence. And also, it was really interesting. I found an application online called Talk to Transformer, and so it's a neural network artificial intelligence which finish your sentences. So you can implement a sentence, any kind of sentence, and the application will finish it with a kind of thinking in regards of the data which have been implemented. But the most important thing is you can use the same reasoning, like you implement one sentence multiple times, you repeat the same action, and the result will be different. So it asks the question of perspective, and as we use more and more algorithms in our way of behaving, but also in our way of exchanging, if you can think about the fact that you can have multiple perspectives decided by a neural networks, it asks the question of relativism and perspective, like intellectual perspectives. So it's also a question I wanted to tackle a little bit. And finally, I embedded cities of the future because, of course, it's linked to organization, to society. So it was quite important for me to always go beyond and see how the future will be in regards of cities. And of course, it's linked to the past with the France Pittoresque of Abel Hugo. To make a connection on all those elements, which are crucial elements for the social environment, I drew some networks. They are kind of imaginary networks to link all those elements. So you have drawings made of ink and marker, which are linking all the collages and also make them merge more into the background that I described at the beginning of the video. Finally, at the end, I created a large white shape which links all the elements together. It can be seen as a network, an imaginary network. For me, it's a kind of distributed network, a part, of course. And but it's also a shape which symbolize a kind of centralization within the frame of social organization. So I hope you liked the video, the presentation, and see you next time for another painting. Bye bye.